Konnichiwa, senpai. Y'all see my shoes, right? Y'all see my shoes, right? Today we're talking about anime again. Now it's been about 9 or 10 months since I put out my iconic dissertation on mfghost, the sequel, quote-unquote, to Initial D, and the response has been illiterate, to say the least. But hey, it's fine. We're just a couple of fellas talking about anime cartoons on the computer. No need to get so worked up over me, of all people, saying an opinion about your race car cartoon that you don't like. I get it. It can be very upsetting to hear an opinion you disagree with. Opinions like the age of consent is 18, which is more of like a fact, but you know, whatever, semantics. Yeah, people really had a bone to pick with me on that point. But hey, if you want to debate the age of consent, I encourage you to continue doing so in as public of places as possible, as loudly as you can, and as often as possible. So point is, for people who haven't seen my video on mfghost, the gist of it is I didn't like it. I hated just about everything about it, from the characters, to the story, to the animation, to the music, to the left, to the right. I thought it was just embarrassing and dumb and stupid, and a lot of people agreed with me, which of course does mean I am objectively correct. So season 2 of mfghost has arrived and might be over by now or still airing, I don't know, I don't care. But people keep telling me to check it out, oh they fixed it, it's so Kino, you look like such a stupid asshole right now. Fuck you. So I said fine. I'll stop watching the stuff that I actually want to watch, and I'll check out season 2. And you know what? It still sucked. It was fucking no. And why wouldn't it? It's the same show. The problems I have with the series are so ingrained into the DNA of it that the only way to fix the show would be to do an extensive rewrite, change the characters, their backstories, the whole general plot of the series, and hey, that's not a bad idea. I'm rewriting mfghost. These aren't manuscripts, it's just loose printer paper. If we reach 200 likes, I'll throw all this paper on the floor and create a big-ass mess. Now, I know, it's arrogant as hell for me, of all people, to say I can do better than the great Shuichi Shujino. I haven't made a career off of writing manga. I haven't made a career, period. I didn't make a perverted high school girls softball manga that bombed horribly. Now, I'm going to give myself some rules here, because I think it would be a little bit too easy to say Bunta prequel or Takumi doing rally. No, I think there actually might be a little bit more potential in the future with all new characters and like something we haven't really seen before. I want to keep it somewhat close to the original series, so it's still going to be, like, in the future, it's still going to be a professional racing league going through Japanese mountains. But I'm going to change everything around it to hopefully give us a story that appeals more to old head Initial D fans like myself, while also still evolving forward and iterating on what the previous series established. Evolve beyond the world of street racing and into the big leagues, the real big boy circuit racing professional shit. First, let's start with my man, Kanata Katagiri, maybe one of the worst things about the original show. My biggest problem with him is that he's really boring. He's stoic, emotionless, wants nothing, does nothing, is nothing, fuck him, I'm gonna kill him in real life. If you tell me you like him and he's interesting, you're going to hell for lying. He's got this backstory where he went to a high school for racing and he has all the skills in the world and they taught him how to handle every situation. It sucks. So let's invert him. If Kanata was a Takumi 2, then my Kanata is going to be more of a Keisuke 2. But honestly, maybe even a little bit closer to a Yusuke Urameshi type. We're going to make him a punk-ass hothead street racer who wants to prove his greatness above all else. He's loud, tough, still fearless, but in a way that's endearing and you like it. You're gonna like it. You can do a lot with a character if they just want something, so just make him someone who wants to win, just someone who really wants to win. With that, we're also getting rid of his formal racing school education, because it just exists as a way to write off any potential challenge, and he can just say, oh, I learned this in school. Good. I was worried there would be conflict in the story. So how about this? He's just a street racer who has never met Takumi, but idolizes him, and grew up watching VHS tapes ripped to YouTube of his old races from the 90s. and he studied them and tried to emulate Takumi. As for what he drives, we can keep the GT86. I really have no problem with that, especially if the series is supposed to be like way in the future when we have mostly self-driving cars and non-combustion engines. Then a GT86 would be in older cars from like 2011 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or 16. And it's gonna be his now. He owns it. He's not just gonna be borrowing it from his friend. He owns it, he loves it, it's his. He's got a bond with his car. Basic stuff here. You get it. I think this would be a pretty good setup for an Initial D sequel. It follows a protagonist who's well versed in the world of street racing, just like anyone who watched the original series would be, and he idolizes that time period and is remorseful that he wasn't able to participate in it himself, just like a lot of fans of the real series. And he'll be a good street racer himself. Hell, he can even be a local legend, because this series is going to be about that transition from street racer to pro. Start him at a level most Initial D fans will be well familiar with. Continuing on with his backstory, we're keeping his mom alive and in Japan. So yeah, he's not going to be British anymore. Come on, I don't want to see a British guy. And here's why. Participants in MFG get a proportional cash prize for how well they place in the races. Now in the original series, this doesn't matter, because he doesn't want the money and he doesn't need it. He literally could give a fuck less where he places, which is a great character trait for a racing series. So what if instead, he needed the money because his mother was sick, like cancer sick. His dad abandoned them years ago, so it was just him and his mom, so Kanata decides to enlist in MFG and try to use his street skills to edge out a win in his humble little GT86 against all of these supercars. Yeah, it's basically that episode of Speed Racer, but you know, it's like a bunch of stuff instead of one episode. So now we got a brand new version of Kanata, who's very distinct from Takumi, but comes from a background that fans of Initial D, regardless of their knowledge of automobiles or racing, can understand and relate to. One of the best things about Initial D was that you didn't need to be like a gearhead or obsessed with cars and racing to even like understand what's going on. And it was my aim to kind of try and bring that back a little bit, but this time for a more pro level since Initial D never actually got there. Okay, Kanata, done, print it, yeah, out of here. But what about the other characters? Because, you know, there's supposed to be other characters in a series. Well, for this one, you know, feel free to just accuse me of making Initial D again, but I think it would be fun if he just had like a gang of street racing friends who helped him along the way. Let's just take Ogata, lower his age, and he's the group mechanic. Then we can just make up two new, like, friend characters for Kanata. I'm thinking their dynamic would be like Nakazato or Shingo, where they're really, like, competitive with each other and they have, like, wildly different ways of thinking about racing. But, you know, it'd be, like, even more violent and high pressure, almost like a Zoro and Sanji type of relationship. Two guys who low-key hate each other a lot, but, you know, they kind of just hate each other a lot. They could represent the two groups I always see arguing in my comment sections that mfghost or Initial D either makes total sense and is completely realistic, or is absolutely unrealistic and makes no sense. One thinks that's bullshit for a GT86 to be able to do anything against supercars, and the other has overly long, convolute explanations for how it's completely possible. Then Kanata can say some hard shit like, "Heh, none of your analysis is gonna mean anything when I get first place!" And you know, then he gets absolute last place and it's like really fun and endearing. Basically, with this new team and cast of characters, I want to be able to maintain the feeling Initial D had of scrappy kids doing what they can with whatever they had. They're going to be going up against insurmountable odds with whatever junk they can find in a scrapyard or Facebook Marketplace. Okay, perfect, print it. Now, for Ren and the MFG Angels, I know this will make a ton of people really, like, boiling with rage for some reason. Well, we know the reason. But, what if, instead of her being 17, we just made her like 20? Fuck, dude. I can see the death threats already. She can still be a race queen, but, you know, maybe just, you know, tone the outfits back a little bit, make them more in line with what they are like in real life. What I'm thinking we do with Ren, since Kanata's not going to be living at her parents' house with her anymore, is, she's just someone who joined the MFG Angels because She loves racing. She wants to be close to the world of MFG, but she has like no talent to drive or do anything else besides stand there and be pretty. And she's fine with it because she gets to be close to the cars and see the races. Makes a bit more sense in her working there because, she just does, okay? Then one day, Kanata's punk ass shows up with his humble little GT86, making a big scene. She's like immediately drawn to him because she sees his car and like immediately understands what he's doing. Because she also idolizes the 90s JDM scene. Hell, what if there's a scene where like, he grabs the microphone out of her hand and he's like, "Hey Takumi Fujiwara, wherever the hell you are, I'm the new legend of Mount Akina. I'm the new legend of Mount Akina. I learned everything I'm about to do from you, and when I'm done with these clowns, I'm coming for you." You know, like he's doing like a wrestling promo, and then you know he'll come in like dead last and it's funny. But like that's still impressive, all things considered, you know? Over the course of the series, they can grow closer, he can teach her how to drift, and it'll be cute. I mean, it's not gonna really exist, but... Now, the MFG races themselves, from a direction standpoint, a lot of what I said in the original video still holds true, I think. You know, stick close to the cars, emphasize speed as much as possible, emphasize entertainment over realism, because if you're entertained, you're not gonna have time to think about how ridiculous what you're seeing is. Now, since my version of Kanata is going to be allowed to show, like, emotion and stress, I think it'd probably be fine if the races are a little bit longer than they'd be in Initial D. Because we can fill that time with, like, character stuff. Although I think I'd say maybe just make it so there's more MFG courses, but they just go by quicker. In the real series, it's like one course per season, which is... Dog. I think we can tighten that up, maybe get like 2 or 3 in. Hell, maybe Kanata just kind of keeps street racing on the side and we can do fun stuff with that. You can take on a race for like money or pink slips, go full Fast and Furious. With that said, also we're getting rid of the qualifying rounds and maybe instead, because the qualifying rounds are just, it's just him doing a lap by himself while people watch him on a webcam. No more of that. Maybe instead, the way you enter the race is you just buy your way in. And he has to, like, gamble the money that his mom needs to try and get more money from doing the race. The other problem I have with the qualifying rounds is they show the audience and the characters the course ahead of time. So then you know, like, oh, this area that's a problem for everyone else isn't an area for him, so that's good. No, I won't be worried when that part comes up. When it comes to the other racers, I don't really have a problem with any of them except the obvious guy. I think for my change with Salvatore, yeah, I mean, probably gonna get some death threats for this one too, but what if instead of being obsessed with 17-year-olds, he was obsessed with blonde girls? Hey, that's not illegal anymore. All the 17-year-old stuff in the show is so fucking unnecessary. All it does is drive people away from the series, and it should. It should drive you away. I think with the other racers, there's a lot of opportunity to do fun stuff. I think maybe some of them find what Kanata's doing is dangerous and offensive. Others think it's awesome and they become friends with him. Maybe he street races some of them outside of the MFG courses. Obviously, if this was something I were to actually write, I would have far more fleshed out ideas than I'm kind of just throwing shit at the wall like a chimp right now. But you know, I like the idea of him having like bitter rivalries with these arrogant, snot-nosed rich kids parading around Japan with their father's money to humiliate working class locals. I'm on the Reddit, I know what you guys are fucking doing over there. The last thing I would say is maybe just hold off on the reveal that Ryosuke is the one in charge of everything. Well, not reveal, I guess make it a reveal, because in the real series they tell you it like immediately. I think it would have been awesome if the series just like left that as a mystery, because once you know that it's Ryosuke, you immediately know he's doing his same like theory of fastest driver on public road shit. This is Project D again. You could take advantage of that original premise of the series, that self-driving cars are taking over, combustion engines are gone, and there's not really like a car scene anymore. And mfghost would seem like the villain going into all these classic mountains and passes and toges and synonyms. And Kanata would hate MFG. He would be like, this is antithetical to everything that racing and car culture is about. And then at the end, you find out, you know, Ryosuke organized the whole thing, and it was really him preserving the culture. It was him saying that these mountain passes are made for these affordable, cheap JDM cars from the old days, and, you know, all that shit. So there you have it, just some basic ideas I have for the series to inject some heart and soul into it, make it flashier and appeal to both new and returning audiences alike, while still being its own thing. It's a sequel or legacy sequel, so it should iterate on the things that the previous series established, while also bringing something new to the table. I'm not doing this video to say that I'm a genius and Shingingo is a dumbass. It's one thing to have some rough ideas you typed out while eating chips, versus actually writing and drawing the series and thinking about it for years and years on end. That being said, I do think my ideas are all better. Alright, well that's it for me, folks. You've reduced me to the point where I'm doing anime fanfiction. If I don't get another video out this year, happy 2025. I'll see you next time.